President Trump addresses the United Nations today. Joining us right now with a preview of his geopolitical priorities, MCC Global Enterprises CEO Michelle Caruso-Cabrera. She is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and a CNBC contributor. Michelle, this is a situation where he's walking into a building that's on U.S. soil, but he's probably not going to have home court advantage.
No, it's a mostly unfriendly audience. He is expected to rail against globalist institutions that he doesn't like. And the UN is a globalist institution. So historically, when he's spoken there, it is definitely a clash of cultures. And I think you can expect to see everything that you've heard him say lately. He's going to say it again, but with a lot more emphasis. And the audience at times in the past has either jeered him, booed him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that, even though he's gotten a lot more respect lately the second time around since he's been elected.
I guess the big news that we've seen over the last week has been three of our major allies going ahead and recognizing Palestinian statehood. And this is going to be something that is front and center with this. The United States is not going along with that. He's going to be meeting with Netanyahu on the sidelines, too.
Yeah, I would expect that he addresses that. They haven't given a lot of previews about what he's going to talk about. I would think that's certainly at the top of the list because he's very anti-Hamas, and people who are critical of that move by our allies say that's only giving a state to Hamas. It's going to be interesting how he navigates that, because at the same time there has been reporting that he has been unhappy with Netanyahu.
The other huge issues, you've got what happens with Russia and Ukraine, I guess, front and center, and then Iran with the nuclear issues, what we do with that. And I was just hearing this morning there are some rules and regulations about what the Iranian delegation is allowed to do while they're here.
Oh, yeah, it's very limited because of our very tense relationship with them. Yeah, he's meeting with Zelensky, by the way. It's one of the two foreign heads of state that he's going to meet with on a bilateral meetings. So all of those hot button issues, he's never afraid to go to them and talk about them, even though it's going to be an unfriendly audience. Navigating what is clearly his desire to get Putin to come to the table, which he's admitted has been very frustrating. Telling the Europeans that they should stop buying Russian oil will be something that I am sure that you will hear about today. And trying to figure out that very difficult situation, which he promised to solve within days of becoming elected and hasn't been able to do.
I did not realize that we were in arrears. We had not been paying our UN bills to that point, or that if we don't pay it, we may lose our vote on the Security Council.
I don't think it'll ever come to that. It's very hard to believe. That
kind of shocked me.
Yes. I don't think it'll ever come to that at this point. It would take a lot for him to pull back, and I think for this entire administration to pull back from that perch.
Okay, explain what's happening with Argentina and what the Treasury Secretary did yesterday by saying that the United States was going to step in and support what was happening there.
It was a very dramatic event yesterday. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on X and announced that he would do what was basically almost the equivalent of whatever it takes to stop a currency run that's happening in Argentina. And what I found so interesting about this is Scott Bessent is one of the few people who would understand so clearly what it takes to stop a currency run.
Right.
Which is
somebody who's been involved with them in the past.
Absolutely.
On the other side of things.
Yeah, stopping them.
From starting them and now trying to stop one. He understands you got to have a very large bazooka. The biggest bazooka you have, the bigger the bazooka you have, the less likely you are to need to use it. And so he went in and announced that he would use every tool at his disposal to stop the currency run in Argentina. And we did see the Argentine peso finally stop its free fall. It remains to be seen. Without him having to deploy any money whatsoever, he has a pile of cash available through the state, what's called the Stabilization Fund, an International Stabilization Fund. We used it under the Clinton administration during the Mexico crisis when Larry Summers was the Treasury Secretary. It dates back to the 1930s. But this is a number of tools he has specifically for this kind of situation.
Why do we care as Americans? Why are we getting involved with this? What does it mean?
Argentina is our most closely aligned country in Latin America at the moment. Javier Milei has started what is the most dramatic free market experiment in the world in decades. We haven't seen anything like this before. And I think the United States would very much like him to be successful instead of seeing the return of a socialist government. And that's why we've seen a currency run down there, because there have been indications through a local provincial election that maybe he's becoming unpopular. There's a big legislative election coming up in October, and the United States would very much like to see him do well in those elections.